How's it going? My name is Bradley with Allaqcess Sports, bringing you another episode of our sleepers, studs, and stacks. This is where we look at the Draftkings slate and find you guys under $5,500, those high-priced studs that you need to get in your lineup that you can't afford to miss on, as well as stacks. Which quarterback can you pair with a wide receiver, and who you should probably be fading. It's week 2 of the NFL season, which means we have a second chance to win $1 million. Now, I typically play double up, so I kind of skew to a higher floor, a little bit less risky than some people, but we're going to cover all the bases in this video. So if you're coming back from a previous week, I appreciate you hopping back into the Allaqcess Lounge. Make sure you give a thumbs up to the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a future video. Matter of fact, drop a comment down below and let me know who your lock of the week is. Every single week, we have to start with the quarterback position, and first things first, Anthony Richardson going up against the Green Bay Packers, a rush defense that was gashed for 3 touchdowns by Saquon Barkley week 1. Now, I'm not necessarily saying I love Anthony Richardson for his ability to throw because he only completed 9 passes last week, but it was for 212 yards thanks to 2 50-plus yard bombs to Alec Pierce and Doolin. We clearly can't expect that to happen, but he's not going to be hurt by having an interception or 2 because he has such massive rushing upside. He has a Green Bay Packers defense that's probably going to have the ball in the hands of Malik Willis, so I don't know if this offense is necessarily going to have to take big risks, big chances down the field in order to win this game. There's obviously a lot of other names to love up here near the top, but the next one that we're going to be hopping down to is going to be Matthew Stafford going up against the Arizona Cardinals. The youngest old quarterback of the league threw the ball 49 times last week, including 21 times to Cooper Kupp. Even after Puka Nacua went down, it doesn't matter who's in there at the wide receiver position, they're going to be throwing the ball. You can certainly pair him with Cooper Kupp later on, or maybe Jordan Whittington or Tyler Johnson. Personally think your best bet is going with Demarcus Robinson or Colby Parkinson. But at $6,000, you get a quarterback that's facing a defense that gave up 222 yards. They don't apply a lot of pressure. So if you're concerned about the offensive line for the LA Rams, which is truly a terrible offensive line right now, the Cardinals don't generate a whole bunch of pressure. So Stafford is still going to be able to throw it. And if you are concerned about the LA Rams defense and Arizona scoring points, that only means the Rams are going to have to throw the ball even more. They're 1.5-point dogs currently. I like Matthew Stafford at $6,000. But don't sleep on this guy at $5,900. It's Baker Mayfield going up against the Detroit Lions, who we know are capable of scoring points and just got gashed for a lot of yards week 1 against the aforementioned Matthew Stafford. 24 completions for 289 yards and 4 touchdowns. I don't believe that to be sustainable, but he does have some cheap options. I don't think Mike Evans is priced high enough. Chris Godwin playing out of the slot last week, more of his comfort position, a really good choice. And then even Jalen McMillan, third wide receiver on that team. Yes, he did only have 3 targets week 1, but I think you can get him involved a little bit against the Detroit Lions defense that wants to slow down the run and get beat in the pass. That's what Tampa Bay can do. Baker Mayfield at $5,900, I absolutely love. Under $5,500, I don't know if there's anyone I absolutely love. Geno Smith gets kind of a tough matchup against the New England Patriots defense that's better than people want to admit. Again, it's not a good team, but it's a better defense than people want to admit. Justin Fields going up against Denver, if he's the starter, is an interesting play. Derek Carr, I don't think you're going to replicate what you did week 1 against the Carolina Panthers, against the Dallas Cowboys. Would you? I don't want to say it. He threw the ball 42 times last week. 42 times. Eventually, he has to hit, right? Nope, not doing it. Not doing it. Nope. We'll start with the sleepers at the running back position today, and my number one favorite, and it's probably someone that you've heard a lot of people talking about if I can ever find him, would be J.K. Dobbins going up against the Carolina Panthers at $5,400. Of course, you're going to see the numbers from last week and think, man, that was really good. He can't sustain that 13.5 yards per carry. There's no way he can sustain that, which I agree. He can't sustain that. But you get a Carolina Panthers defense that's already terrible against the run. You lose Derek Brown for the season with a torn meniscus in his knee, I believe is what it is. The best player on that entire team is done for the year. Coach Jim Harbaugh wanted to be a Carolina Panthers head coach. He went into David Tepper's office about 2 years ago saying, yeah, I'll coach this team. And David Tepper said no. Jim Harbaugh is going to come out angry, and I think they smack my Carolina Panthers. J.K. Dobbins at $5,400, I'm heavily investing in. I know he'll be heavily owned. It's worth it. Without Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason's kind of the obvious play. There's a lot of people that will have a lot of attention on him at $5,200. The problem is Minnesota's front 7 are pretty good against the run. They struggle mightily against the pass. We just saw Daniel Jones try and throw against them 42 times. I think Brock Purdy gets more involved with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle, but Jordan Mason at $5,200 is still a value play, but you'll have to watch how many people are actually putting him into their lineup. You're looking to get 3 to 4 times your value on most of these plays. At $5,200, I think he's certainly capable of another 15 to 20 point game, with getting 25 against a New York Jets team that's way better than the Minnesota Vikings. Lastly is Alexander Mattison. I'm not saying he's necessarily a must start, but game script should play to his advantage. Offensive coordinator Luke Getsy is a run-first offensive coordinator there for the Raiders previously with the Bears, and he's going to want to get his running backs involved. I feel like they need to get Devontae Adams and Brock Bowers involved and then the running game, but it's kind of reversed. They want to get the running game going and then involve the passing game. Well, if you're going to be playing from behind against the Baltimore Ravens, you probably need to be throwing the ball, and he's going to be the passing down back with 6 targets last week. I don't necessarily see him getting 16 points against a pretty good Baltimore Ravens defense, number 1 in scoring in the league last season. No Patrick Queen could be a problem. I think Alexander Mattison is still going to get his touches. Jonathan Taylor going up against the Green Bay Packers. I already talked about this Packers defense getting absolutely gashed by the Philadelphia Eagles, and 3 touchdowns to Saquon Barkley. The problem is he only had 48 yards and no targets out of the backfield because Anthony Richardson is willing to run the ball himself. But I feel like if it's Malik Willis, they're going to be handing the ball off because they're going to be ahead in this one. You don't need to take a lot of risks. Just turn around, turn the ball, hand it off to Jonathan Taylor. Are we in for a Derrick Henry bounce back game, or do we think it's going to be Justice Hill? Me personally, I'm taking Derrick Henry. At $6,700, I like this play. I don't think it's one that a lot of people are talking about. I don't necessarily love it. I'm not putting it into my lineup yet, but the Raiders just got absolutely blasted by J.K. Dobbins for 135 yards week 1. Lamar and Derrick Henry can get it done with their legs, and if they're playing from ahead, King Henry just pounding it down their throats. Give me Derrick Henry to have a big game. 2 more that we need to talk about real quick. I've talked about the LA Rams defense without Aaron Donald is going to be a problem for a lot of this year. James Conner continues to be an absolute workhorse. He's way underpriced at $6,200. I really, really like him and would like to get him into my lineup this week, as well as Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford going up against a Jacksonville Jaguars defense. Now, game script pulled him out of the game against the Dallas Cowboys pretty early on. 12 attempts, 44 yards, but he still had 7 targets out of the backfield from Deshaun Watson. I think this game's going to be a little bit closer, and that Jacksonville Jaguars defense is absolutely terrible. You hear me say it every single week. Allaqcess had 714 tackles last season because they can't get off the field on 3rd downs. Jerome Ford at $5,900 is underpriced. It's 4 running backs I absolutely like that are above $5,500, but here's one that I love. It's Isaiah Pacheco going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. They just gave up 120 yards to Ramondre Stevenson week 1, which is a run-first team led by offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt, but Isaiah Pacheco should find his groove in this one. Another 15 attempts for 70 yards. I would absolutely love to see that, plus getting some receptions out of the backfield. Yeah, $6,900 going up against the Cincinnati Bengals without DJ Reader this year. I don't think enough people are talking about this, and I think he'll be a sneaky play that finds his way to the top. Getting a good wide receiver at incredible value is one of the best feelings in the world. Another incredible value is getting Rotowire for free. Yeah, free access to Rotowire. No credit card required, no private information, just signing up for Rotowire. Your free access is down below. You'll get access to their start-sit reports, lineup optimizers, Vegas lines, Vegas odds, blog posts. You'll get it all. Free trial, no credit card required. Sign up with the link below. And then if you lost a lot of money week 1 and you're looking for a new place to lose your money or win your money, check out the new user promotions down below. Find a sports book in your area. They'll automatically put the best promotions at the top. Geo-targeted to your state so you can find the best offering. I have a follower who lives in North Carolina who told me he got a $1,500 risk-free bet last night. Put it all on the Dolphins. Good thing it was a risk-free bet, because now he still has $1,500 to play with. That and hundreds of other offers are living out there in the space that you might not know about yet. Find that tool at bookies.com/allaccess. That's down in the description below, but I've partnered with them to give you this tool and get it into your hands so that you can take home a little bit of extra money, because you would rather play with house money and not lose your own. At least I know I would. Get your wallet right. Load up on these promotions so you're playing with house money for the whole year. Let's start with the guys under $5,500, and I got to go with Christian Kirk playing out of the slot this week, going up against the Cleveland Browns, who do struggle at times in coverage with the linebackers over the wide receivers. Christian Kirk only had 4 targets week 1. I think that changes this week. The Jaguars team had a little bit of a disappointing performance against the Miami Dolphins week 1. I think they work it out and get it right. Again, 4 targets, not what we want to see. I'd like to see more in the range of 7-8 targets at $5,500. So I like this play. I don't necessarily love it, especially when there is some better value out there. I see a lot of people talking about Alec Pierce. I don't know if he can sustain 3 catches for 125 yards, with the long being a 60-yard bomb. Would I love to see it happen? Absolutely. But I don't think in this case, going up against the Green Bay Packers team without Jordan Love, I don't think the Colts are going to need to take these big, deep shots down the field. Maybe that's how their offense is just built. But I don't necessarily see that for him or for Ashton Doolin. Someone that I will be looking at, as long as he's a full participant come Friday's practice, is Jameson Williams. I love J-Mo this year. I think he's a freakish athlete, and he's definitely getting more involved in the Detroit Lions offense, going up against a Tampa Bay defense this week that is one of the highest scoring games on the slate, and a Tampa Bay defense that gave up 28th most fantasy points to wide receivers last year. They don't want to get beat by the run. They want to get beat by the pass. $5,300 is still too cheap. We've talked about the Rams offense a couple of times. Demarcus Robinson, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Whittington could all be options to fill the gap while Puka Nacua is gone. Even Colby Parkinson to fill the gap while Puka Nacua is out. I personally lean Demarcus Robinson. If you look at what he was doing at the end of last season, he has proven that he can be there and do that for this team. Certainly take a shot somewhere else, but at $4,000, I'm comfortable knowing that he is still going to get a floor of 5 target. Even with all 3 wide receivers in the lineup, he gets a floor of 5 target. I'm comfortable knowing he's going to get his targets. And at $4,000, it's worth every penny to have him into your lineup. Save that money here so you can go get one of those big studs here in a second. Hey, yo, before we get out of here, Allen Lazard, 9 targets? What? 9 targets for Lazard week 1, 2 touchdowns? I lean with no. I expect to see more of Mike Williams this week. Not a whole lot. But 9 targets? I know you can't do that again, can he? CeeDee Lamb game script last week against the Cleveland Browns had them winning the game by 24 points pretty quickly into the second half. They didn't have to throw the ball a whole lot. Now against New Orleans defense, that's pretty darn good. But CeeDee Lamb should have a decent game. $8,800 is a lot to bite off. That means he needs to have a 26 to 30-point game. I don't know if he gets there. Amon-Ra in another really, really good spot. Jamar Chase going up against Kansas City. No, thank you. Cooper Kupp with 21 targets week 1. Yeah, I would love to have him in my lineup week 2, but I plan on using Colby Parkinson, Demarcus Robinson. I don't want too much exposure, so where does that put me? It's probably going to put me right here at Mike Evans going up against the Detroit Lions. 6 targets, 61 yards for 2 tutties. That's something that he can do almost every single week, and that's crazy to think, but he has 16 touchdowns in his last 16 games. One of the highest scoring games on the slate features a Buccaneers team that's, by Vegas odds, 7.5-point dogs, which means they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. Baker Mayfield is going to throw the ball to his favorite target, and to me, that's Mike Evans. $7,500, probably a hair too cheap. I would take him up to $8,000. After that, you're getting a little expensive for me, but Mike Evans at $7,500 might be my favorite play of the week, then followed by Cooper Kupp. 2 more before we get out of here. Amari Cooper going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I already talked about how bad this Jaguars defense is. I really don't like it. Tyreek Hill gashed them for a couple of big plays. He had 9 targets last week, but unfortunately only able to connect on 2. There's no way that is replicated this week. 3 fantasy points is an absolute dud, but if he converts on a couple of these catches, we're looking at a 12 to 15-point game. I would love to see that out of Amari Cooper, and at $6,200, it's not a huge gamble when you know that he's still going to be getting his targets. And then one that is a little bit more of a gamble would be Malik Neighbors. Washington Commanders just got burned by Chris Godwin and Mike Evans week 1. Now they get Malik Neighbors, who is a freakish athlete, and Daniel Jones needs somebody to throw to. 7 targets week 1, a very quiet week 1, but 7 targets for 66 yards, 11 points without even getting into the end zone. I'm comfortable with that at $5,900. If I know my floor is about 10 points, and that's my floor, if he's healthy, I want to see Malik Neighbors in my lineup. If you've been here before, you know I am the captain of team never pay up for a tight end. Very rarely do we pay up for a tight end because you can normally get a guy like an Isaiah Likely for dirt cheap. Look at some of these points, 8.68818 up here at the top. You go down, there's Isaiah Likely. There's Brock Bowers for 11. Okonkwo Chig for 9.5. Jawan Johnson for 10.6. He won't replicate. You keep going down. There's even more options. Colby Parkinson at $3,100. Someone walk me off this ledge. Tell me Hayden Hurst, Panthers legend Hayden Hurst, isn't going to have a revenge game coming back home to Carolina Panthers. He had a massive amount of snaps for this Chargers offense, which is kind of surprising because I didn't think of him as a very good blocking tight end, but he was in there for the majority of snaps. It's going to be a very low passing volume attack, but if you're absolutely starved for cash and you don't know what to do and you can't afford to get up to $3,100 Colby Parkinson, which you should, Hayden Hurst at $3,000. So if we use the guys that we've talked about in this video, what does a possible 50-50 double up lineup look like for me? Possible lineup that I like: Baker Mayfield pairing with Mike Evans. I love Deebo Samuel in this spot. I kind of think I forgot to talk about him, but I talked about him when I talked about Mason. I do like Deebo Samuel in a much better matchup than going up against Sauce Gardner in that New York Jets defense week 1. Isaiah Pacheco is one of my favorite running backs paired with J.K. Dobbins, who's going to be extremely efficient against the Carolina Panthers. Demarcus Robinson in the absence of Puka Nacua or one of those other wide receivers. And that leaves you with just a flex spot. So if you want to go back against Tampa Bay with a Detroit player, Jahmyr Gibbs is right here. Derrick Henry going up against the Raiders should get a ton of volume. Against Arizona, if you want to run back against the Rams, Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe he gets more than 3 looks from Kyler Murray if he can see him. Kyren Williams, if you want to go with a triple stack of the Rams, which is just obscure to me, you can absolutely do that. But just in light of keeping it with the names that we've talked about in this video, we'll roll with this for now. Do I love it? No. Am I probably going to play it Sunday? No. But because we just threw it together on a whim without putting any thought into it, it probably cashes. If you want to go above and beyond in support of the channel, you can always log on to Patreon. That's down in the description below. We'll give you our late bloomers injury report fantasy rankings Sunday morning, where if there's any late-breaking news, you'll know about it on Patreon. We also give you a look at our starting 5, which typically comes with a quarterback, running back, 2 wide receivers, and a flex or a tight end spot, and then a player pool that you can kind of fill in, because we always encourage you to play the way that you want, but some people like to get a little bit of extra insight. So if you want that weather report, injury report, and everything else that comes with it, patreon.com/allaccesssports. Again, that is down in the description below. One last chance to like this video because I like you, and hopefully you like me. If I haven't said it already, I thank you 1,000 times. There's a million things you could be doing and a million people that you could be watching in preparation for your Sunday slate and winning $1 million, but you chose to watch it and spend it with me. I appreciate that. Thank you for watching All Access Sports. Make sure you check out our game picks and predictions for the entire Week 2 slate. And as always, hopefully the next time that I see you is in the green and in the comment section.